So we've been going through these Pro Football Focus lists of top quarterbacks, top wide receivers, top interior defensive linemen, right? We've talked about this on the show. The one position that I was frankly floored by is when I saw the top 32 centers in the NFL. So the ranking of the top 32 centers for the NFL. No shock. Creed Humphrey, Jason Kelsey, they were 1, 2. How about Creed Humphrey, second round pick out of Oklahoma? Could we have had anyway? Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. But when you scroll down through this list, I was shocked to see this. At number 13 is Drew Dalman. Quote, in only his second year in the league, Dalman ranked 11th among centers with a 69.5 Pro Football Focus run blocking grade. There's room for improvement in pass protection, where his 27 total pressures allowed were the fifth most at the position. But if he can do that, then he is set up for another impressive season. So I was floored when I saw this. And look, I know there are things I agree with Pro Football Focus. There are things I disagree with on Pro Football Focus, right? I mean, we can have our difference of opinions. But I was floored to see that he was a top half center in the league in these rankings. Because again, and this may be the idea of we watch a lot of what Drew Dalman is. Did Drew Dalman play better in the second half of the year than in the first half? Absolutely. Do I still think that Dalman can be a decent center? Yes. But there are still a lot of things to work on. One is your pass blocking, where you get pushed backwards into your quarterback, right? He is an undersized guy. Same problem that Matt Hennessy had. Undersized guy, pushed around a little bit. Yeah, again, when he can operate in a phone booth, he's a very smart, heady player, right? And he's also got, arguably the best guard in the NFL standing right next to him. So that can also make you look better. And Drew Dalman had, games where his snapping the football reminded me of James Stone and Matt and Mike Person. It was what Mike Smith era, or maybe that was Dan Quinn, but when they had James Stone and Mike Person, Matt Ryan was, when he would be in shotgun, would have to have a baseball glove on and field grounders off the turf. There were moments like that where you felt like, okay, can Dalman snap the football? But obviously he did get better throughout the year. And what's going to be interesting is if you pair him up with a rookie guard who's never played the position standing to his left. That's where my concerns come in. What have we always said on this show? And I've said it consistently on my radio broadcast, podcasting, wherever. You can't have two below average offensive linemen stand side by side. We saw what that looks like a couple of years ago when we had Jalen Mayfield playing guard and we had Matt Hennessy playing center. We saw what that looked like, and that was a disaster. And it wasn't just a disaster for Jalen Mayfield. It turned out to be a disaster for Matt Hennessy as well, because Matt Hennessy was not a strong enough player or good enough player, if you will, to compensate for the lack of what Jalen Mayfield, couldn't do. Like he could not lift him up. Now, again, at center, you've got Chris Lindstrom standing right beside you. But on the other side, if it's going to be Matthew Bergeron, and I don't have a problem with allowing Matthew Bergeron to play and get involved in being the left guard, and he's done nothing but that. Whereas Jalen Mayfield was a tackle by trade. He was playing tackle in the preseason and playing tackle, and then all of a sudden he was thrust into the guard position. That was not fair, but also he did not respond very well. So what's curious about Drew Dalman is what he looks like when you have an inexperienced guy that's standing to the left of him and a guy that hasn't played the position at all. Besides his one practice in the Senior Bowl, he's always been a tackle at Syracuse. That's all he's done. And you saw Matthew Bergeron yesterday signed his contract and all this good kind of stuff. So I'm willing to give Drew Dalman the benefit of the doubt. He's a very smart player, right? He's not the most physical guy that's out there. Size-wise, he's not, a space eater at center. He's an undersized guy, lighter guy, plays at a lighter weight. Same issues I had with Matt Hennessy. Like, those are two guys that, they're not, they need to put a little bit more in the dumper. They're under 300-pound guys at center. But there were some good signs from Dalman last year. But I'm amazed that Pro Football Focus had him at 13, that he is looked at by them as that high of a prospect or that high of a quality center. I can understand, a third-year player in Creed Humphrey being the number one center. He's been outstanding, right? All rookie and then second team all pro. I can understand that. But I'm surprised that Drew Dalman is that high up on their list and they think of him that highly. And if you think of some of the guys that are around him, Mitch Morse, Eric McCoy, Ryan Kelly, Evan Brown, Garrett Bradbury, there's some really quality players that are behind Drew Dalman. And obviously, the same questions that Caleb McGarry has, we don't know what this is going to be from a pass blocking perspective. He's a good run blocker, and when he can operate in a phone booth, again, we can get that whole offensive line going, and we can move people forward. So I'm shocked and amazed that Drew Dalman is looked at and thought of that highly, but it is good signs and good vibes that they at least look at him, from a analytical perspective, that the numbers back up some of the things that, again, we started to see maybe toward the second half of last year. And again, I'm hoping that he becomes a really good offensive center. Again, we need as many guys, stepping up for the long term at these offensive line positions. And it's our real position of strength. So if Dalman can keep anchoring down the center spot, that allows Hennessy to play guard, allows him to do some different things. Because again, while you've got maybe the best guard on the right-hand side of you, you're probably going to have a rookie that's on the left side of you. And we'll see what that looks like when all is said and done. But you might have very well a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience. And sometimes partnering up two guys that aren't as good leads to disastrous things. We saw that a couple of years ago. All right, as you make Hittin' Hard your first listen, make sure that you go in and leave us a comment on whatever podcast platform that you're listening on and let us know that you're an everyday listener to the program. So if you're on YouTube, leave us a comment in the comment section that you're an everydayer, as we like to call them. I mean, so we thank you so much for being a part of our ever-growing community. But let us know that you're an everyday listener to our show 5 days a week. So we want to hear from you that you're an everydayer, as we like to call them, and we like to have that as part of our group. And we thank you so much for being a part of this community.